Right, guys. Um, it's nice and cool in the mornings now, but it's still. It was 31 here yesterday. Now the big difference now in September, October, is although it might be 31 in the day, but it cools down very quickly in the evening. Around about, in the summer, the heat lingers for a little bit till about 8 o'clock. Now, going into the autumn now, it cools down because obviously the sun comes up later and goes down earlier, so it doesn't tend to the heat doesn't linger, which is beautiful because you get a nice hot afternoon, and it's still hot, like 31 if you think about it. Well, I think it is anyway. Hotish, not unbearable because you've had the cool. So what it is that it cools down pretty quickly at night. It starts cooling down about 5, 6, and now it doesn't start warming up until maybe 9:30, 10. I mean, really warming up because the sun doesn't come over the ridge now till 9:15. Well, it's 8 o'clock now. So that's what makes it fantastic here for me in the autumn, because you can get stuff done. You can get stuff done, and even in the when it's hot in the day. I mean, it's only a few hours when you think about it. It's only about 4 hours when it's really hot, and you can always like slow down a bit. But that's why I like the autumn. It's absolutely fantastic. And so I was thinking about, there's a lot of turmoil around at the moment. The UK's in turmoil, absolute turmoil, which everybody knows about, obviously. Top to bottom, there isn't any that I can see silver lining or way out, really, because things have detached that far, that like mainly the property and rental sector and the energy, which is not coming back. Cheap energy, that's not going to be a thing. Now they keep saying these renewables are going to be cheaper. Well, they're not. So forget about that. So what you're going to be faced with is energy and high rental and property costs, and which kind of that's half of your kind of living expenses are related to those things. Shelter, warmth, and even water. That's through the roof, if you ask me. My water bill here is about it's £2 a month. £2 a month, and I could even get it less than that. Well, I will, because I'm going to tap into the spring. I've already got spring water, but like it runs our spring here, which is in my back garden. I could get into it, but like I could probably sink a sonder or a well or something, but I don't have to, because water's everywhere here. And I've just found another water spring. Well, there's loads up this road. I reckon there's about 6 that I know of, and you keep seeing them, especially if you don't go in the car, because you don't always see them in the car when you're driving. And some of them, quite often, are down little paths down by the river. But the one I've found is where the water tank is that feeds our valley, tap water. There's 2 tanks that I know of up there. I don't know what. This one's definitely being used, the one I've found. And it's got like a double spring. So that must mean it's full, the tank. That'll be the overflow from the tank. So it's comforting in this, and France, absolute turmoil in France, which raises the question again. Is it a wise move to go into the euro for Bulgaria? But it's going ahead now. I don't think there's any stopping it now. I don't think they're going to stop it. It's September now, October, November, December, and then they're in the euro on the 1st of January. And there's no... It's tailed off now, all the anti-euro rhetoric. Any euro rhetoric, they've got tired of it now. Because everything was euro a few weeks ago in the news channels. Now not so much. You get like one a day, but we're getting 4 a day, like pro euro and anti euro. But there's not much more they can say now about it. It's just going to happen. So that's that. So you've got to cut your cloth, and this is what I'm always saying on this channel, is that you've got to navigate around or work around what's ahead of you and what you're in. Like in the UK, once you realise what you're in, like we knew in the 70s, we knew what we were in. We knew we were have-nots. We didn't go round all day saying, well, this day, it's 1975. We should be able to do this and that, the other. That didn't happen. It's like, how do we get out of this? That was the main thought on everybody's mind. And a lot of people did, especially in Liverpool and all over the world. Emptied out Liverpool. That's why you meet people like me all over the world, because that was in the mindset. Get out. And people did. People did, and did well. A lot of them went to, I think more than you think, people went to South Africa, Botswana, places like that. And Australia, well, that's well documented. I think that was the main destination back then. And the USA, man. Canada, a lot of people went to Canada. A lot of people. And now they're struggling. Which is a shame, really, because, like, Canada, they should have it made. They should have it made because of all the resources they've got. And these places, if they run them like businesses, and I don't know what's happened to Norway, because they were well off. They were well managed and all the rest of it. But people there, even there, it's like a cost of living thing going on there. I don't know what it's all about, but like maybe it's been mismanaged recently. I don't know. But all these places, they seem to be running into trouble. Maybe Norway's just the currency as well as all these fiat currencies are coming to the end of the cycles. Maybe that's the same in Norway. Maybe it's the currency. Who knows? But they were well managed, and they were investing. They had a slush fund, but I don't know whether that's been mismanaged. Who knows? But if you look at like debt to GDP and stuff like that, I mean, like Bulgaria's doing okay, and a few other, mainly Eastern European, and Russia got hardly any debt. That doesn't mean that you're super wealthy, but what it does mean is that like you're not in too much debt per GDP. And the good thing about Bulgaria, which I keep saying, is the population. There's a lot of benefits to having depopulation. They've got the most hospital beds per capita in Europe. Parking spaces, you name it. And resources per capita. If you look at the size of Bulgaria compared with the population density is the thing you want to look at. And then after that, I mean, it doesn't matter how big the country is if it's all desert, like Namibia. But I think they've got some resources. Well, they've got enough for the population, which is quite small. But it's a huge country. Most of it's desert. But here, you've got plenty of resources. Fertile land. Enough. Water. And the water's all produced here. And what I mean by that is, apart from the Danube, which is, that's on the border anyway, all the water in Bulgaria is from Bulgaria. It's not like the Euphrates, which a whole country relies on water coming from another country, and they can do stuff on the border to it. I don't think they have in the past. And even in Russia, they dried up a sea. There's a sea there. I can't remember what it is. It's like an inland sea, like a big lake. And they dried it up because they used all the water upstream. And there's all these ships just sitting on the dry sea. Anyway, that's another story. So they got water. And this solar, what they're doing now, this is quite impressive, I think if it's done right, solar, I mean, this wind power, I'm not into that at all. I just look at them turbines and think shelf life, what's his name, unreliable, especially around here. There's not much wind here. We never get wind. I look at those wind turbines and I think cost of production, operational life, and all the rest of it. And even if there's too much wind, they can't run them. They'll take off. They're hopeless wind turbines. But solar and hydro, I think in Bulgaria it's about 11% comes from hydro. And then they'll be up to, do you reckon, in a year, they'll be up to 10 to 15% of the grid and solar by introducing storage, short-term storage. And that's the key. That's the key. They can feed it in then, or constantly. If you get enough storage to feed it in when the sun's down, you're laughing. You're laughing, and they reckon it's like even bigger than that, because you can even get a surplus, which is what they'll probably have at peak times, and then they can sell that. They can sell it, can't they? They're all getting interconnected now in the Black Sea. Not just gas, not just the supply of the raw materials, but the energy. And they've got a surplus apparently here now of petrol and diesel. They're exporting it. I don't know who to. Probably Serbia, maybe. I don't know. But they've got a surplus of petrol because they've been exempt from the oil. Sanctions. Bulgaria got an exemption. I don't know how they managed that. But they've been getting oil from Russia all the way through by sea. And I don't know how they managed that. And they said they're not buying oil from them anymore. It comes from Kazakhstan. Probably says that on the invoice. Like the gas. It says invoice from Turkey. But like a lot of people are cottoning on now that it's from Russia, and Azerbaijan. Well, they say it's from Azerbaijan and then Turkey. So who's going to ever sort that out? You've got to. Who's going to? You're not going to get Brussels going down auditing the Turks. They'll tell them to sling the hook and keep away. So, unless they blow the pipeline up, which may happen, but they've got another one that runs across land from Russia towards Istanbul. So it's all interconnected. So it's like a network of gas pipelines. So that's what we've got here in Bulgaria. And then you've got the wood. The forest has increased by 20% in 15 years. 20% forest. And I can attest to that. And my land at the back here, how quickly it grows. Countries are missing a trick with the forest. Talk about renewables. That's renewable. And if you burn it clean, which you can, and I do, I burn mine, almost clean. When you look at my chimney, there's no smoke coming out of it when I get my fire going. Because first of all, I dry the wood properly, and then I burn it properly. Got a good little fire here, and it's got like a secondary burn on it, and that burns the smoke, pulls in oxygen where the top of the flames are. It's got a section up there. It's quite a high box from top to bottom, and if you can draw in oxygen at the top, and I've got like oxygen slats in the top of the door. So you get a secondary burn. And when you look up at my chimney, it's just heat haze. There's nothing coming out of it. There's no smoke anyway. So you can burn wood. And these pellet burners, I mean, I don't like them. We had a pellet burner in Sicily, and it was hopeless. It was hopeless. It was in January, and the guy came and he said, "There's 2 lots of pellets, bags of pellets. And when you put the pellets in and turn it on, and you need electric, if you've got a power cut, it won't work. It won't work. You need a pump. Hopeless. That's not an alternative source of energy for me. So you put the pellets in, turn it on, and nothing happens. Nothing happens for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then you start getting these bits of, like a sort of flame or the pellets. 15 minutes. And then it takes about 40 minutes for the radiators to get warm. Even lukewarm. By that time, I mean, you've been in the house, and he said, don't start it until 4 o'clock, and to make sure it's turned off by 11. And you're like, what are you talking about? Anyway, well, he only gave us enough pellets anyway to keep us warm for like, a few hours. Anyway. This is in a rental place. It was hopeless. Pellet. And they cost an arm and a leg. And they've got all this digital stuff and electricity you need. So if you've got a power cut, you're fucked. Basically. Now this wood burner, I can get this room up to temperature in about 20 minutes. the way I build the fires, I'm an expert now. Absolute expert, lighting fires. I get two outliers, and then I have like a box. I've formed a box then, and in there I put old cardboard, not paper, cardboard, and then a layer of kindling. I only put 4 pieces of kindling in. Then the next size up, and then a couple of logs on top, and a firelight. I always use firelighters now, always, because otherwise it can just, you can have a failure. I've got like a probably 95% success rate. And when it does fail, it's because I haven't put enough cardboard in, or the kindling isn't right, or whatever. But I've got a 95% at least success rate of getting a blazing fire going within 10 minutes. And I tend to build a big in. The initial burn, what I call the initial burn, that's at least an hour. Oh no. And by that time, this room's like toasty. Absolutely. And you don't have to sit on top of the fire. You've got to keep away from it. It's that hot. These wood burners, I mean, a fire in a fireplace, it's very, they're very wasteful with heat, because most of the heat here comes from the flue. I've got a Turkish radiator thing, and all the heat goes through that, and the heat that comes off that sings your eyebrows. So you got all these things, right? So I'm looking at my heating bill now for next year and part of the year after, and I'm going to buy some more now while I can, because it's always good to keep ahead with these things, because you never know how this thing's going to go with the euro and that. So I'm going to buy some wood, more, and the only problem is where to put it. But I'm just going to buy it anyway, even if it doesn't dry out as quickly out. So I might have to put it out to the front, but that'll mean moving more wood from the front, which I was going to bring straight in the front door to here. It's just the same distance. I don't know what to do. Anyway, I'll sort that out. That's not a big problem. Having too much wood, that's not a problem. And, there's always somewhere to put it. But, you've got to be a bit more scientific about it, because you've got to dry it and move it towards here, where the fire is, as you go. Because if you get more wood and put it in front of the old wood where you're stacking it, that's not the way to go at all. You've got to keep moving it up, which keeps you warm just doing that. So we've got all these things. Then you look at food. I think Bulgaria is always on the list. If you look at world self-sufficiency in food, and they have lists for all these things, just put in Bulgaria, and it's always in the top 6 or 7. Food security, and they could be 100% self-sufficient here, and I think they have been in the past. 100% easy. I mean, I could have a whole array of stuff in the back here. And the reason why I don't is because the economics of it, I don't eat that many plants now. And I don't want to keep live animals at the moment. But that would change if there was any problems. And they'd quick. chickens. And the fastest cradle to plate food animal is a rabbit. 11 weeks. And they're in the oven. And there's a few other quick ones as well. These quails look quite good. Quails. And, and a quail is like one meal. And they do the eggs, and you can sell the eggs. Or give them away, or swap them, or whatever. Probably swap them for some quails. And they're quiet. And, you get like geese and that, and ducks. They're a nightmare. I knew people who had ducks, and they kept escaping to the river. And they were always by my house waiting for them to float down the stream, catch them. When they went disappeared, and I've seen them on the river, floating past. The ducks, they don't give a shit. They're off. And they'll just go downstream until the river gets big, where there's fish. You never see them again. I don't know how many they lost, but that's what used to happen. I don't know how many they lost, but they were forever coming down by my house, because there was like a road goes down straight into the river. And because a lot of the river, you can't get down the banks. You can't get near the river. So that's... And they used to be in panic mode. And imagine that. And then you've got like 4 or 5 ducks coming towards you. You've got to try and catch them all at once. Or if you catch 2 of them, you've got to get further down river again. Catch them. There's various places where you can get in the river. Catch them. So ducks. And they're pretty hard to process, ducks. A lot of fat on them. And I was buying the duck carcasses, which is good because you can make good lard, tallow, with duck fat. Really good. It's good for your skin and your hair. You can feel it straight away. Duck tallow. And then I used to feed a lot of it to the dog. The ducks, and they don't have them now at the moment. In the supermarket, I don't know. Somebody must have cottoned on that they were good. They were not, because these were cheap. It was like about 80 pence for a carcass. And used to, you can get a good soup out of it, and all this tallow, which you can cook in, and put it in all sorts of stews, and that's lovely. So I haven't seen that for a while. So yeah, Bulgaria. I mean, I'm still looking at these backyard fish, catfish, and I'm thinking now. I watched a couple of big in Nigeria. It's huge, and all due to one guy, and he spread the word all over Nigeria. And he sets up all these fish farms, and there's another guy doing it now. He was probably one of his employees who's branched out. That's what happens with all these industries. And and now they're doing them in these IBC tanks. They were doing them in concrete tanks, but now they're doing them in these tanks, and then in kind of tarpaulin. They call them tarpaulin tanks. They're just like the little pools you get. Well, they call them swimming pools here. And they have it on the box in the big hypermarkets and that. They have about 6 people in these pools all swimming around. They must be midgets, these people. They're only about 3 meters across. You've got about 8 people in there. all playing games with beach balls and all that, doing lengths. And the pool's only 3 metres across. Just have a look at them, you know, and all these people around the pool. So, you know, and you can put fish in them. That's what they're using them for. And 2 tanks and a pool. You're talking about like maximum 500 quid to put it together. You've got like a fish here. I'd have to probably have 2 more tanks actually to rotate the water and fill them up with spring water for part of the year. Now, I might even have to, I don't know. That's the only thing I'm worried about, the constant water supply. I think you need one. Even with catfish who don't need running water. They don't need moving water, but they do need it changing. And I can't do that for part of the year at the moment. But we'll see what we can do about that. We can probably do something about it. At a push, I mean, I don't know what I could do. I've got the river over the road where I can get somehow pump that across here. I mean, I've done it before. I've pumped water across from the river, but it had to come across the road, and that was like to fill a septic tank up, stop it floating. So there's all these things to think of. That's a big thing about like the water that I've been kind of worried about. I'm not going to use mains water. It costs too much to fill all these pools and tanks all the time. Anyway, so this is all these things. You can think clearly here. You can think clearly. And I don't really need the boiler on all the time. If we get into trouble, financial ruin, Europe, because it will knock on to Bulgaria in a way, but we won't struggle here to survive. Absolutely, no chance. It just may revert to as it was when I first came here, which was rock bottom. That was rock bottom. You couldn't get any worse. But they've got a lot of infrastructure now, and some sort of a perpetual economy. So I don't think we'll ever go back to how bad it was then. And it was pretty rock bottom, Anyway, and they weren't even in the EU or anything then. They were it was even hard to get here. They only had one flight from the UK when I first came. One flight, if that, a day, from Heathrow, and that was it. That was it. There was nobody in the airport. There was only, I don't know how many flights they had a day. It wasn't many. Now it's like the hub. They're making it into the Wizz Air hub of Southern Europe. Anyway, cheers.